Joshua's grandfather, we're so lucky to be able to hear an actual oral history from somebody who lived through the event that we studied. And I am just overwhelmed with joy that you get to see this and that you get to hear this. I'm very excited. We've written some questions, which you know, and we have to sort of pass those out around, right? Okay, there's a few more. Maybe if we have time, we'll see what we have time. But I want you to really sit here and experience this. I want you to give Mr. Ehrlich your undivided attention, and I want you to take something from this today. Okay, I want you to learn something just incredible today, okay, about his story. And I just want you to enjoy this. I'm just emotional about it. I'm so excited and fun. Okay? Mr. Ehrlich?
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
First of all, I must thank the Franklin Middle School for giving me the opportunity to come and see you people. I thank Ms. Oakley for being interested in my life. I just wrote a book, and it's 100-page long, and it depicts my life during the Holocaust. It would be very hard to go through these details in 15 minutes. So I'll be brief, and I must tell you about my experiences as a little boy of 7 years old. I was born in Yugoslavia, which today does not exist. It is now Bosnia, Croatia, Slovenia, and Serbia. Sarajevo was a town where people lived in harmony. People, religions, races, didn't matter. They all get along so well. What happens is 1940, when the war broke out, we were warned by my father's friends, who knew a lot of Muslim people who were not in danger of being persecuted by the Germans. We were warned that something very bad is going to happen to us, and truly did, but nobody knew about it. My father had this instinct, self-preservation instinct, to leave Sarajevo. He gathered the family. I had 3 aunts, uncle, grandmother, grandfather, cousins. He gathered everyone together and warned them of the danger of being harmed. Nobody listened. Nobody listened. Unfortunately, nobody survived. We were the only one to escape Sarajevo. How did we escape? We escaped in 3 stages. My mother dressed as a Muslim woman in burqa. My father left as a member of a soccer team, and my sister and I left as children of a Muslim family. It was done in 2 days. First my mother, then we went, and then my father. Luckily, we were able to go through the heavily guarded. There was a rail station, small rail station. Everybody knew each other, and we were able to get through that very thin net, which the Germans said that no Jews can escape. It's in your book, probably covered in the part of the journey. So we were fortunate to do so. By train, we went to another town, and we stayed at the home of a Muslim family for a few days. And then what? And then we thought it was not safe to be there. We went to another town which is called Split. Now, this was an area occupied by the Italians, and the Italians were very merciful to the Jewish people. In order to protect us, they put us in a concentration camp. We didn't know what to expect. As a kid, we never knew hunger. We never knew fear. This is something that we experienced, that I experienced, going through the world. My school was the world. I only attended one class in Sarajevo, only one year of school. My world was my teacher. I have learned languages, I have learned many, many things, but let me tell you about the concentration camp. Concentration camp was surrounded by barbed wire, Italian guards, some of them very stern, some of them friendly. What are we going to do? There was nothing to do. There was, children were allowed to run around, go races. Men and women were separated in barracks. Men were in one barrack, the children were in another barrack. Slept on bunk beds. We were given rations of food, of some beans and some potatoes. We were all hungry. We just we wanted to survive. We didn't care now about eating, but hunger is very strong. I befriended, let me tell you this, I befriended an Italian guard and told him that, that I'm hungry. He said, tonight, see this rock over here, I'm going to leave you some food, whatever I could understand. I came at night and find a piece of bread and something else there. That is to me. I remember it very much so. Let's see. We stayed in this concentration camp for several months. It was not safe. Germany and Italy were allies. The Germans wanted Italians to deliver us to them. The Italians were instructed not to do so. They were instructed by Mussolini's son-in-law. Later on, he was shot for protecting the Jews. We were transported to another concentration camp, which was called Rab. It was an island on the Adriatic coast, and the same situation existed. Not much food, but we were safe. There was no forced labor. There was nothing there to say. I had survivors of German concentration camp tell the story, and I said, you know what? My story meant nothing. We were safe. These people saved us. I owe my life to the Italians. They put in the concentration camp to guard us. Italy surrendered. And who came in were the Yugoslavian resistance, called partisans. It was under Marshal Tito. He fought underground. He fought the Germans. They transported us the Italians left the island and left at the mercy of the Germans. At night, this fishing boat would take anyone who wanted to the continent. We were, again, my father came in and says, let's go. Some of them stayed. The one people that stayed were killed because the Germans occupied the island. Self-preservation. For some reason, God wanted us to survive. We were transported together with the partisans, with the resistance. We went to a place called Topusko. Topusko was surrounded by the Germans. We lived about 15 miles from them. We slept with our clothes on. We survived on cornmeal given to us by peasants. There was no salt. You have no idea what it means to live without salt for 2 years. And my salvation, again, was the partisans got in touch with the Allied forces who already occupied Italy. They flew in planes at night to take to Italy the wounded, the children and women. We were the one to be on that plane. At 1 o'clock in the morning, those planes landed on an open field. There were bonfires to signal to them. Look how brave these people were, landing in a territory they didn't know where it was. It was amazing, the courage of the Allied forces, American and English. They ushered us to the plane. When the plane took off, I knew then that we were safe. I said goodbye fear, goodbye hunger. We landed in Italy, and they brought us some bread, something white. I didn't see white bread for years. This was it was incredible to be free, not to be afraid anymore. Again, they hosted us. They put us in southern Italy. We stayed at the homes of wealthy Italian mansions that were confiscated by the Americans, by the English. They were their vacations home. They just didn't know where to put the immigrants. We were hundreds of us. They gave us clothing, they gave us food, but left there not knowing what to do with us. We all wanted to go to a country and establish a normal life. Where do you want to go? Where are you going to go? We want to come to America. We had to register. We had to register because there was a quota. America would accept only so many from each country. We registered also for Argentina. Nobody offered for Jews to come. Argentina was the one where we had the opportunity with one condition. We didn't want Jewish people. They accepted Nazis. They didn't accept Jewish people. We had to change our names to be inconspicuous and be able to enter the country. We were in Argentina. We arrived in Argentina, and they said, okay, stay here for a few days, and now go and find work. Nobody spoke Spanish. How are you going to get work? Left at the mercy of nothing, no money, no nothing. As a young kid, my God, I was 13 years old when I was 13 years old when I came to a country where I didn't speak the language, I didn't know what to do, and again, how do we survive? My father got a job, but not enough money to even pay the rent. I went as a messenger. I got a job and helped my parents. I must tell you, I had no opportunity to go to school. To be as lucky as you are, to be able to listen to these sad stories, but I want you to understand, not everybody was as fortunate. As a kid, I forgot to tell you, as a kid, in the book I write the following. I was so anxious to have a pencil. I wanted to write, I wanted to draw, and there was no such thing. When I see a pencil on the street, I'll pick it up. Yellow pencil. That's in my mind. When we came to Italy, as I said, we lived near a rest camp at Air Force. It was our RAF. It's a Royal Air Force base. The pilots, after their raid, they would rest there. I heard at night them play jazz, and I loved it. I loved it. I would go there every night and listen to it and try to communicate verbally, but I didn't speak English. What I liked was the chewing gum they gave me. And so I loved every moment of it. My father said, you know, there is this dictionary that I borrowed, and I would like you maybe learn something. I would like to show you the dictionary that my father copied word by word, word by word. I learned 10 words a day. I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn English. That's my treasure. My father made this for me, and it stays in my memory. It made me so sad to see it go. You know. Anyway, now, where are we going to go? Being in Italy for about 3 years, in order to travel to the United States, you need a quota. We went to Argentina, instead stayed there for 10 years in a very, very terrible situation. We had no running water. We didn't have any hot showers. We did not have, the streets were all muddy. We lived outside Buenos Aires, and that was a nightmare for anyone living in a country that was supposed to be receptive to immigrants. We wanted to come to the United States. 10 years after, we got a call from the American consulate that our visa, our permit to come to the United States was granted. So the consul wanted to see us. And he said, we received a letter here from, you will need a sponsor. You will need a sponsor who's going to be responsible for you coming to the United States and depend on the American government. I got in touch with, again, the English language helped me because I wrote a letter to a gentleman by the name of Joseph Mazer. He was the president of the Hudson Pulp Paper Company in New York. Mr. Mazer put a bond of $1 million for the young Jewish people to come to the United States. We were the lucky one. The consul asked us when we would like to travel. I said, we are ready to travel, but we have no money. I never had no money to buy airline tickets. To save some money, my sister and I were the only one able to come to the United States. We got here, got a job right away, saved every penny, never went to a movie, up to the tight, only to save money to bring my parents here. My parents arrived, and we came to this, trying to have a normal life again. It was hard, without money, without anything. I must tell you, it was very, very hard. We survived. We survived. What I want to say is, I never saw my relatives again. Many years later, living in the United States here, I wanted to go back to Sarajevo and see if anyone survived. I didn't find anybody. I remember on a bridge, on the river that was in Sarajevo, and I cried. I didn't find my cousins, I didn't find my grandmother, my grandfather. They're gone. Now tell me, who has the right to take your lives? Who? It is terrible to know that you had a world living happily in a country, and these people, they came in and they took it away all. Think about it. You have a nice home, you have your parents, and all of a sudden, someone comes over and says, let's go. Let's go. Go where? They gathered people. I must tell you what these people, I don't know whether it was covered, but I must tell you what they did to us. They took people to take showers, and instead of water, there was gas coming out, and they died, and then they burned them. They played music when people were coming out of the cattle cars, separated men and women. The young children that were not in good health were sent to death. The one that could work, they were spared for some time, but hardly anyone survived. I must tell you, I was fortunate, and when I think back on what happened to us, I consider myself lucky, and I want to thank you for being so good and attentive to listen to my story. I wrote a book. I wrote a book about my odyssey. What I told you in here is nothing compared to the 100-page book which I wrote. I was urged by people that heard my story to write a book, and I did so. It was finished last week. Miss Audrey read the book last night. I gave it to her, and she knows of my life. So, okay. I thank you very much.
Start the question.
Okay. Were you separated from lots of your friends and family?
I'm sorry?
Were you separated from lots of your friends and family?
Well, that one we kind of had answered.
Most of these are pretty much.
Okay, so those are answered. So I have one. How did you react when you heard that Hitler had died? What did you feel?
That's a good question. I believe that all the world was happy. Hitler, I must answer you that one. Hitler was not only the responsible person. They never got hold of the people that cooperated with Hitler. The people that, he said, the Germans said that we couldn't do the job alone by ourselves. There were other countries, carpenters, butchers, they joined and they said, okay, let's get this. It was robbery, it was plunder, they took our apartment. People, when we left, someone else came in because they sympathized with the enemy. So I think the whole world was very happy, simply because a monster like this should have died a long time ago. But nobody had the courage to do so. 6 million Jews were killed, and not one brave Jew came over with a, I don't know if it existed at that time, suicide bombers or anything like that, to get rid of that guy. You know how many people could have been saved? No. The world simply didn't want us. What are we? We are proud of our heritage, and I feel that everybody should be proud of his origins and try to honor the principles of life and respect.
Did you ever get nightmares?
Yes. I get nightmares simply because I imagine I put myself in the place of other people, my family, and I said, gee, it could have happened to me. Automatically, I become very upset. Sometimes I cannot sleep. What can I say? You know, you put yourself in their places, and they're all gone. They're all gone.
How did you overcome your anger and find hope?
In the good people that saved us. I have high gratitude for the Italians. Without them, we wouldn't have survived. The hope should be the last thing to die. And my hope was to come to the United States and be able to establish a normal life. We wandered through Italy, we wandered through Germany, we wandered through Argentina, but the United States gave us the opportunity to be somebody, to have something.
What story or what moment sticks with you the most? What moment sticks with you the most?
I believe the moment that hit me the most was when that plane took off and being safe, being free. No more bombing. What I experienced was we were in this little house, and all of a sudden, you know, we were warned when the enemy planes came to bomb or to strike. It was a rifle shot that would go in the air, and everybody would hide. We were in this little house, and someone ran into the house, and the plane must have seen him, thinking he's a partisan or a soldier or something. And I saw through the window, I'm looking like this, and I see this plane coming, diving right like that, and I said, oh God, we're gonna die, you know? I dropped to the floor, and I prayed in Hebrew, a few words that I knew, to save us, God save us. The machine gun went on, you know, nothing, no bombs, only striking. That was a very scary moment. What I survived as a child, you know.
You said in your book the next day or whatever you saw bullet holes in the trees outside.
I went outside, dig out big bullets like this. I said, oh my God, you know, how close we were to die. Here's the thing. Who are these people that shoot at unarmed civilians? What were we? What made them so mean, so bad? I could not understand. Did the people, German people, know what was happening? Some say yes, some say no. I was in Germany last year, and I see everything is nice and clean and organized and everything. And I look at the people and I see young kids and everything. I said, my God, you know, American bombers, they killed a lot of German people, innocent people too. It worked both ways. But how are you going to go rid of the bad people that harmed that eliminated the entire Jewish population? I don't hate the Germans. I do hate the Nazis with all my heart. And anyone who sympathizes with them, and anyone that goes against a race, a religion, that has to go. That has to go. I believe in justice.
One other question. What was the longest time period you went without eating?
Months. It went very little food. When you eat very little, you become so hungry. There's nothing there, nothing. You walk around and you're looking for the non-existent. Maybe the Italians did not have enough food to feed all of us. I forgive them for giving us, saving us. It's very, very hard. So when I see a piece of bread, when I see food being thrown out, oh, it hurts me. Oh, it hurts me. You know, to know the value of having everything is not always possible.
Yes, sir. What's your question? What happened to your sister?
My sister is alive, and she lives in North Carolina. And she was 3 years younger than I was. My sister suffered, and she hardly remembers anything. What happened? You know, only a few details. Here's a little girl. I was 7, she was 4. Think about it. Being away. And luckily we had our parents. Some kids were saved and their parents were taken away. I saw many orphans, and my heart cried for them because they had no one. And we had our parents. So.
Have you met any other survivors? Have you met any other survivors?
Yes. Oh yes, I met survivors. As a matter of fact, the last person I saw was this is Miriam Moskowitz. She saw a story in Florida paper, Sun Sentinel, about my life in Italy, and she was there. She was there, but she was 5 years older than I was. So she she told me and she said, please let me see you. I went to her house and lovely, lovely lady. She survived Buchenwald, Dachau. She survived 4 concentration camps. How is it possible to survive a concentration camp? She had an ambassador on a I have her picture is with me in my book. Miriam Moscovitz. She died June 12, much to my sorrow. I got to meet somebody who's really told me the story, and I said, my, oh my, was I lucky. How could anyone survive like that? She was a young girl that sent her because they had little hands in an ammunition factory, and that saved her. So.
And you actually met somebody that was in the same camp as you as well.
Oh yes, sure. There was to see people, be able to talk to each other, to say what happened, how did you survive, and so forth. Everything brought to my mind, everything brought back to you, and you start to remember everything. They also in the paper that he saw, he lived in Western Florida. He came over to the eastern part of Florida to visit us and to be able to talk about it by saying, hey, we were there, we suffered together. Kind of brought us together, you know. So,
What memory from coming to America sticks in your mind the most?
thank you. I loved everything what was American. I must tell you something. I like music very much. I like listen to my idol, which probably most of you don't even heard about it. His name was Bing Crosby. You probably know he sang the most beautiful Christmas song, White Christmas, that anybody did. That was Bing Crosby. And I love to listen to him. My idea of coming to the United States was being able to hear jazz, to be in a country of abundance, to be able to have an opportunity to make a living. But I like music. And in Argentina, I must briefly tell you, in Argentina, there was a singing contest in the radio, amateur hour. I participated in that, and I sang American songs, Stephen Foster's songs, and September song, and old-time music, you know. They told me I could sing, okay, and I tried my best. So, but I won that. I wanted it, and I was awarded with a radio program. I was awarded with a radio from singing American songs. I wanted to come to the United States to see if I could make a career out of it. So I came here in hope to be able to sing and be able to maybe meet Bing Crosby. I loved American music. I would like to see more jazz here. I'm an old timer. I love jazz, and to me, it's American jazz. What happens later on, you know, it's hard to get adjusted to the new music. Like people in the past, all there was classical music, and then came the waltzes, and it came and nobody wanted it. Well, the same thing happens now. It is a repetition, a slow repetition, you know. But coming to America, you know what I said when the plane took off from Buenos Aires? I said, goodbye, adios, miseria. I said, adios, goodbye, misery. Because in 10 years that we were in Argentina, we had nothing. Only memories of hardship, memories of the only good thing is that I learned Spanish, I speak it fluently. So that's my thanks to Argentina. At the same time, I have a grudge because I got back my name, by the way, but I have no respect for a country that accepts Nazis and refuses Jews. By the way, let me tell you, unfortunately, the United States also did not accept Jews. Did you know that? Does anybody know that? Yes. Okay. There was some political question. There was during Roosevelt, President Roosevelt. There was a political thing, and he had to abide by other people to get along with his colleagues or whatever. Later on, President Roosevelt, to redeem himself, invited 1,000 Jewish guests as his personal guests, and we were almost in that group, but we missed the boat. So I went to Argentina and go through 10 years of misery.
Are any of the question cards, are they all answered? Did he answer all of them? Okay. Is there anybody, particularly with story students that have any questions, who want to ask something? Were you married?
Oh, well, let me introduce my wife. Norma, let me just tell you a story. Let me tell you a story. I had gone to Brazil to try my musical career, all right? And they accepted me, and I worked in the radio there, television there, and they liked my songs and so forth. But, you know, I was away from my family, and I wanted to go back to Argentina to see my family again. Now, who do I meet on that boat? I meet Norma, my wife. I met her singing with my guitar, and they joined me in some Brazilian songs. Little did I know that she would be my wife for 60 years now.
60.
Then I ask you something, maybe you could tell me. Okay. What is stronger, religion or love?
Love.
Right. Thank you. That's what I thought.
Thank you. There was one.
Love was what made me marry. I'm Jewish, she's Catholic. We got married. Now, tell me, it is a wonderful feeling to know that the religions can live together, and I'm so happy. She brought me. She gave me two beautiful children, a son who lives now in Baton Rouge, and my daughter, Paula. She is a sweet girl, very smart, like a dad. And I have a lot to be grateful to this country here. It is a wonderful, wonderful feeling to be able to be in front of a beautiful class like you are. Please remember me. I will remember you. I promise, because I never had the opportunity to speak, except for Florida. I once spoke in an American school. The other one was in Italy, where luckily I speak Italian, and I was able to communicate with them. So that reminds me of them. They're over there.
Yes. How many languages do you speak? Oh, good question. How many languages do you speak?
6?
I learned those languages because I lived in those countries. I lived in Argentina where they speak Spanish. I learned Portuguese, which if I want to eat, I better speak Portuguese because my wife, she speaks Portuguese. She speaks English too. But I lived, of course, I speak fluent Yugoslavian, and I speak Italian as well, German as well. So that's about it. But I lived in those countries, and I just had the ambition to learn. I wanted to learn so much. Try to learn a language. Get interested in what your teachers here have what they would like you to know. Pay attention. Work hard, because I didn't have that opportunity, and I would give anything to have it.
Jalen?
What's the name of your book?
What's the name of your book? I know the name.
The name of the book is called A Boy Named Jacob, A Holocaust Story. This book came out a few days ago. I'll show it to you.
And if you would like to order, there's a way to order it. We can.
It's on Amazon.
Yeah, we have little cards, and we'll give Miss Tori and I will pass them out tomorrow. Okay. It's well worth it. Definitely ask your parents.
And I'd like to show you something. This was me 1 year old.
One last question. I think we have time.
Mrs. Oakley, Kara wanted to know if your parents were okay with the fact that you were Catholic
Oh,
and Jewish when they
Mr. Ehrlich,
got married.
one last question. Were
Sure.
your parents okay with you marrying a Catholic?
Yes,
Were her parents okay with?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Woo, yeah.
You know, religions are good, but on account of very strong religions, a lot of people died. A lot of people were killed because of religions. It's a double-edged thing. It's wonderful, and the last person we pray is God. God is everywhere, no matter what you believe in. God is everywhere, and if God will hear my prayers, your prayers, it's no matter what religion you're in. So.
You know what my father said when I said that he was Jewish? He said, "Oh, the Jewish men make wonderful husbands."
Oh, and that was true. And that was true.
Now, isn't that something that both parents did not object to our getting married? That's wonderful, isn't it? Oh, by the way,
Wait, one more second.
whoever was responsible for this beautiful design here, I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you very much. Very, very considerate of you. It's an honor.